Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's LinkedIn live training. If you're not joining us on LinkedIn, if you're joining us on the replay or over on YouTube, welcome. Thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. All right, so let's jump into this and give you a little bit more information. So, just some housekeeping. I am here every single Thursday at noon, bringing you different tips, tricks, and tools for your mission driven teams. Now, all of this is geared towards leaders, management, directors, all of those people that are in leadership roles within your organization. So, by all means, feel free to share this with other people that you think could value from this training. Now, again, like I said, I will be here every single Thursday at noon. Next week, super exciting week because my co founder, my business partner, Jeanette Bergeau, will be joining us as well. And we're going to be diving into things communication, how to get that right. The invitation for that is going to be coming up soon. But today, what we're talking about is how to retain these employees. Now, I did a video over on YouTube years ago now about some of the top things that you can do. But like all good videos, it's time for a refresh, right? New information, new skills, new strategies. All right. So, craziness, did you know that replacing one employee can cost you between 50 to 200% of their salary? That's absolutely insane, right? And this isn't an old statistic. This came from the Society for Human Resource Management and was also substantiated by Gallup research from this year, from 2025. What it also showed was that many of your best people are not leaving for financial reasons. They're leaving for fixable gaps. Now, in mission driven organizations, turnover is high. So is the cost, and not just to your bottom line, but delays in programs, disruptions in services, communities that are left waiting as you're retraining this new person. And the biggest thing that I've seen is the impact that this has on clients and communities that you serve. So today, I'm going to make sure to give you those three things that I promised when you signed up. Some zero cost strategies for retaining employees, three things that you can do, simple, starting today. And throughout, I'm going to give you some examples of language that you might be using that destroys your language. Wouldn't it be fantastic if after this you were able to re engage these employees, decrease turnover, and not have to spend your time putting out hiring notices? I'm on LinkedIn with you, and I can see every single day how many people are moving jobs, how many people are posting job positions because people are leaving. So how can we slow this down? Increase what your staff is doing, retain that knowledge, those skills, that expertise that you've already invested in and you've grown. So, how are we going to do that? All right, let's jump right in. So, some zero cost strategies to retain employees. The first is going to be building that trust through small actions. Now, I've heard so many employers say, we conduct exit interviews and people say they're just moving on for new opportunities for career growth. I've had it happen to myself. But what this really means for so many people is that there was a gap missing. There was broken trust. They didn't feel valued. So, how can you build that trust that people are coming to you before they're feeling like they need to leave? Now, there's a few huge trust killers. The first is dismissing concerns about problem or even toxic team members, right? Issues being brought up and being told, "Ah, that's just who they are. We've all learned to work around these people," or the behavior is not that big of a deal, right? These dismissed concerns, they don't just go away, they sit there. Broken promises. This is a huge one that breaks trust, right? People get into organizations and they think that there's going to be training and opportunities, that they're going to be able to grow personally and professionally. But when that doesn't happen, when all of a sudden budgets get cut, that's typically the first thing to go. And if people can't develop personally and professionally, they really lose trust in what you've said in that interview process, even if it was years before. Now, another huge trust killer is that open door mentorship that doesn't happen because you're so busy. The calendar is blocked. They come in and they see your head down and you're doing a million things and they don't want to interrupt, especially with these passionate people in these mission driven organizations. They don't want to pull you away from the task just for them. Lots of these people are selfless. They try to give more than they receive. So when they see that you're busy, mentorship and those opportunities often drop right away, right? They don't want to ask for more than they think you can give. So, how do you deal with this? The first is following through on those small commitments consistently, right? Those little things. Truly, as we talk about so many times, those little things are the big things, right? Listen to their concerns and do something about those team members. Keep your promises. Find new ways to be agile, especially if your funding is getting cut. What else can you do? What free resources? What low cost resources? What other ways can you help them grow? And those open door, we'll get to this in a little bit, but how do you provide mentorship when you do have such a busy calendar? Right? Employees who trust their leadership are 87% less likely to leave. That's huge. 87%. You can almost completely prevent somebody from leaving just by developing this trust. Another huge way to develop trust is by asking for their help. Now, they know that you are not the best at everything because nobody is. None of us are 100% at everything that we do. So ask for their help, lean into their expertise, not what was necessarily even on their resume, but look and see what were they good at and use that. Right now, a few sentences that we love to throw in, but really hurt trust. And I've seen this one pop up a number of times. It's that we're family here, right? The translation of this with a lot of people is we're going to exploit your emotional connection. And then linking it to everything else that's with family. Like, okay, so it's okay to be disrespectful as long as people care, right? Please, please, please stop saying this. What's way better is we're committed to helping you grow, to creating an environment where everyone feels respected and valued and heard. Right? Let's change this language. The next one, and this is big, 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 is we wear many hats here. Right? You're expected to be agile. Oh boy. When people hear this, it sounds like we're understaffed and you're going to be overworked and you're constantly going to have to learn new things because we don't have enough people to cover. Instead, let's switch it. You're going to gain so many diverse experiences, but we are going to set clear boundaries and we're going to find ways to set you up for success. So if you are being given something else new within your role, or sometimes those like other duties as required, yeah, I know right away that so many people are like, yes, I've had that in my job profile before, right? Those other duties as required. Um, Make sure that you are giving your people the skills and abilities and time to be able to learn these new pieces, to have that time to not just have to jump in and deliver right away, but the space to then make mistakes, figure it out, or have somebody that they can go to for mentorship when you're asking for this. All right, on to number two. You're going to elevate your recognition game. 79%, 79% of employees who quit cite lack of appreciation as the key reason. Now, right away, I hear so many managers say, I recognize them all the time. I constantly say thank you. We have an employee of the month. We put stars on the wall. That only works for a very small percentage of the people that are working for you. So, how are you going to step up your recognition game? Because they want impact, right? They want acknowledgement in a way that works for them, right? Oh, I see a comment from Allison. Oh, those are the duties as required. How many staff have been lost to these? So many, right? It takes time, it takes energy, and often it pulls you away from the work that needs to be done. And going into this, lots of times without the recognition as well, right? Like, wow, you took on that huge thing that you didn't need to, you didn't know you were signing up for. So, let me give you an example of this. I was working with one employee who was really looking to up her game, right? She was put in charge of a team and she's like, okay, I get it. There's problems. I need to be able to amplify this, to step up to the plate. I want to be the best manager that I can possibly be. But what happened during this is where she became deflated. Sorry about that. Um, so there was the manager that I was working with, and her boss thought he was doing a fantastic job. As she was hitting her milestones, he would give her mugs. She had a person on her team that wrote a letter to say how fantastic of a leader she was. And so this employee was called into a big meeting and given a paperweight and a pat on the back and said, "Oh, your team wrote in and said you were doing a great job. Here's a paperweight." Not fantastic. Right? When he was asked about it and called out by this employee that she felt a lack of appreciation, his answer was, "Well, I allowed you to stay home with your sick kids. I allowed you to work from there. Now I've sent you thank you emails. I celebrated your birthday with a cake. Like, I don't know what else you want from me. I've been showing you appreciation. I can't do anything else." Talk about a way to completely make that employee feel deflated, unseen, unheard. 100% Allison, you are right. Employee recognition needs to be personal. And this one hit huge because when this employee chose to leave, it was because she didn't feel like she had a seat at the table. He wasn't interested in the career growth she wanted, the connection she wanted to get. When she looked around and saw what was happening on her team, time and time again, she would witness all of her coworkers going on these conferences. They were going to meetings with executives from other areas, from other businesses. Right? She wanted a seat at the table. She wanted mentorship. She wanted learning. But instead, she found that she had to do this behind closed doors, behind his back, because when she asked for it, she was too valuable. She couldn't miss a day to go to training. It was outside her scope. People that are in that position, well, they don't get that kind of funding. You'd have to be a level above to get the funding to go to that training. But she was tenacious and found a way. So after 10 years of working for this organization, the employee came back and gave her 2 weeks notice. Now, what nobody knew, but I knew behind the scenes, is during her time with that organization, this employee had gained 3 designations. She'd walked multiple stages and been recognized outside of her employer for the work that she was doing. Right? She had utilized her benefits that were given to her through the company secretly, and that organization had invested over $50,000, 50,000 over those 10 years in her education, and her manager had no idea. She kept it from him because she didn't want to get in trouble for spending her lunch breaks or her evenings or her break times working on her schoolwork. $50,000 they invested with no idea about what was going on. And with 2 weeks' notice, she walked out the door and took all of that with her, right? Zero cost actions or low cost actions could have completely shifted this, right? What's really important is sharing specific stories that connect employees directly to what they do, seeing their impact and seeing where you can invest your time, your effort, your energy in them, and showing them how much you appreciate what you do. Like Allison was saying, fantastic early comment, that appreciation needs to be personal, right? Discover what their style is. We tend to prefer to show appreciation in the way that we receive or like receiving appreciation, or we make assumptions. I've done this before. Oh, this person always brings in cookies, so they must like getting gifts. You could be completely off. It's important to check in. So much like you know your love language, I know that's very popular to understand what that is. You have to understand what it is that resonates for your team, and it might be different than their love language. So don't just ask them that. Sit down and have a conversation. Now, like love languages, but for the workplace, lots of these are very low, if not no cost, right? The only one that might is gifts. And depending on how that person feels appreciated through gifts, you can get more specific and make this virtually free. Now, mission driven employees, studies have shown will actually sacrifice money to create impact, to create meaning when they feel appreciated. But the generic recognition, the platitudes, the one size fits all approaches, the stars on the wall, the mugs at your 5, 10, and 15, it feels empty. And all that stuff gets shoved to the back and ignored. The other thing that I hear so much with recognition is, well, when things calm down, when it's in the budget, right? When things calm down, things don't calm down. I'm recording this in the summer right now, and thank you for those joining me live during your summer. Because what we've noticed, and I've spoken to leaders, is there isn't a calm time. There isn't a slow time. The only time is now because things don't get less busy. As much as we want them to, there's almost this like cognitive dissonance that one day, maybe next week, in a month, in 3 months. Meanwhile, your employees are sitting there thinking, I don't think I'm a value here. Right. And that stacks, that adds up. So instead of when things calm down, right? That's one of those sentences. It's okay, here's the timeline, right? Set dates, set time, be intentional about this, right? I'd love to know in the chat. I know we don't have a huge audience right now, but if you're catching this on the replay, I'm really interested and want to know, how do you prefer to be shown appreciation and recognition? Drop it in the chat. For me, mine is quality time 100%. I would prefer to go out for a coffee or even a walk with someone 100 times over being given a card, right? Huge for you to be able to invest time in me. That's how I prefer to be shown appreciation. So I truly understood what that person was feeling that I was talking about before. All right, rolling into number 3, empowering true autonomy, right? Everyone knows it when you feel it. Micromanagement from good intentions, whether they're there or not, it kills retention, right? Nobody wants to feel like there's somebody constantly hovering over them, checking everything that they're doing. You were hired for a reason, for competencies. Even if you stepped in to run this team, right? They got there for a reason. They want to be valued for that, right? This is a zero cost shift, or often is a very zero cost shift, right? Delegating decisions. Again, delegating decisions, not just tasks. This isn't a let me put something else on your plate. This is a we have an important decision to make. I trust your judgment. You go and make it, right? This is huge. Again, delegating decisions, not just tasks. High autonomy is shown to increase engagement by 33%. And again, like these statistics are massive. 87% of people are less likely to quit when they are given the autonomy to make decisions, not just complete tasks, right? By empowering these employees, it can become a huge multiplier for impact because suddenly things are being taken off your plate. Instead of having a team of employees, you are fostering a complete organization of leaders who feel accountable for decisions, who start looking at problems in different ways, right? The way that a worker bee or an employee has to look at a situation is only from their perspective. As soon as you give them the autonomy to make decisions, all of a sudden they can't just be looking at the work that they are doing. They need to shift and start seeing the big picture. And these are not skills that we can just get by sitting down and reading a book about leadership. This is something that you need to be in the trenches and doing. Who do I need to speak to before I make the decision? What other information do I need as opposed to let me gather my stuff, right? Let me gather all my papers and then give it to my leader that's in charge and they'll have to make the decision. No, entrust them to be able to make some of these decisions. And depending on where you are as an organization, these may cost a little bit of money or may have some financial implications. And that's okay because these are learning opportunities. And if they make a mistake, how are they going to fix it? Right? Did an email get sent out that shouldn't have got sent out? Well, now what are they going to do? Right? Help them step up to the plate. They want that. This is how you help people grow and understand what's going on because then in their role, they're going to bring a different perspective. And that's absolutely fantastic, right? If you hire the right person for the right job, then they shouldn't need you to tell them how to do their job constantly. Yes, 100%. Your job as a leader is to provide support and remove the barriers. Yes. And coming back and asking them, what support do you need? What do you need from me? Not what can I do for you? And what barriers do you see that I may not see? Right? Gain that different perspective. 100%. Thank you. Keep leaving stuff in the chat. Um, all right. So shifting from that, right? You kind of have your things that you are able to do. You have these zero cost strategies. All right. So now what can you do starting today? Because some of these are big, right? The first one is going to be building that trust, right? Little bits. Now, I love, if you follow me at all, you know that I adore Adam Grant and all of the research that he does. So, about building research, so many of us as leaders, and I will speak as a woman, um, feel like we have to have all the answers. We have to have all the certificates on the wall. We have to have all the answers, and we'll research and find stuff out so that we don't feel like we shouldn't be in the room, that we shouldn't have the position, right? There's a lot of feeling like you need to justify your value and your worth. And if somebody is coming to you, you have to have the answers, but you don't, right? To build trust and like statistically, like really hear what I'm saying. Statistically, having all the answers isn't helping you build trust. What does is being willing to be vulnerable, right? Prefacing stuff. And I know that I've heard the talks on, well, you don't want to come from a place of weakness, but this isn't weak. Asking for your team's perspective, right? Saying things like, I might be wrong, or I might be missing something here, but here's my idea. Or involve people early on in the process. Like, I'm still trying to figure this out, but I want to hear what you think. Right? So, why does this work? First, revealing vulnerabilities can increase your likability when you're otherwise competent. So, if you're really struggling, this isn't going to work. But if you're in a leadership position and people respect you, calling them in and asking for their help, their perspective really helps. One of the most memorable leaders I have ever had in my life was he actually came out of retirement to lead one of our teams. And at the time, I was working as an admin assistant. And I'll never forget the day that he called me into his office, me and the other admin support person, and sat us down and said, "You guys hear what's actually happening in this organization. Can you share with me what nobody else is saying, but I need to know? Because there's stuff I'm not seeing." Like, that still gives me goosebumps to this day, because in that moment, even though he hadn't been there for long, I felt so much trust for this individual that he wanted to hear what I had to say, even though I didn't have the authority that he did. Right? So it's a, I don't have all the answers in this challenge. I can't see what you're seeing. Help me put the pieces together so that we can solve this. Massive. All right, with the delegation, you might be looking around thinking like, okay, I don't know. Everything is so big and it falls on my head. I don't know what to give. Just find one thing, one actual decision that's going to have impact. One person to reach out to, one something that you think they would be fantastic at, and give that to them. Again, not just tasks, but actual decisions to make, right? This shows that you trust their judgment, their expertise, or that you know that they can grow into it, right? And if they come and ask, say, "It's okay, I trust you." Make the decision. We're going to go with whatever you decide, right? That's big. It lets team members decide their approach to client challenges, right? Angry people that might be on their phone, how you're going to address someone, right? If you have the availability, give them a small budget for a program that they want to try out or a process they want to improve, right? And trust them with something that will have real consequences and real impact. All right, the next one here, and this is my last easy thing that you will be able to do, is improving your one on one meetings. So many of these are an absolute throwaway and waste of people's time that is often the first thing that I see being cut by leaders is those one-on-ones, or they get shortened, right? "Ugh, we don't have time, we'll just catch up next week." No, please, unless you are on vacation or they're on vacation, keep your one-on-ones, but make them meaningful. Right? Check in with real challenges, real opportunities, real questions, not just updates, right? These shouldn't be able to be replaced by a meeting, right? To kick it off, I'll give you one to make it really easy this week. Send out that email. I know it's a Thursday. Let's book it for next week. Find out when the last time is that that person felt appreciated. It may surprise you because it may have been something you've done. It may be one of your coworkers. Or when I've done this, I've found that it may have not even been at their current employer. That one is always shocking when you find out that employee has been with you for 2 years and the last time that they felt appreciated wasn't even during their time with you, right? That's a huge wake up call. Now, this doesn't mean that you haven't shown appreciation. It just means that it didn't hit or it didn't stick with them in the same way. So that's when you know that things need to be tweaked. Right? Part of those meetings is also to find out not only the professional goals, right? We all love sitting down and going, okay, where do you see yourself in 6 months? Where do you see yourself in 2 years? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? But after that interview, we often forget a lot of those interview questions, right? What are your personal goals? What are your ambitions? What are you working on right now? Is there anything exciting happening that you want to share or you need support on? Right? What other opportunities do you see for our organization that we might not be going after, right? These people have different social circles. They see things different. One-on-one meetings are a fantastic opportunity to discuss those things that may not be appropriate for an email, because you need to invite them into these conversations. And they also may not be the best thing to do during a large group discussion because people have to show vulnerabilities. Oh, I don't know why that word is so hard for me today. Anyway, it's really important to set those one-on-one times up to really understand who they are, not just within their work role, but as a person who is growing and wants to thrive within your organization. Very rarely within mission-driven organizations are they there simply to pick up a paycheck, right? They truly have something that is in them that they want to be able to give back and amplify. So find out how you can do that. Okay, now before I jump into the last section here, we have something super exciting that we are working on right now. And if you want to check that out, if you want early access, it should be done here in the next couple weeks. But make sure to follow our newsletter, check that out, or send me a DM so that I can put you on our hot list for mailing this information out to. And I'll make sure that you get early access to check this resource out. Jeanette and I have been working really hard on it. It's going to be so packed with information, tools, skills in all different ways to help leaders break down some of their biggest challenges with their teams and amplify your impact, right? These are top things that we've been working on leaders that we've coached, we've gone in and give training on because we want to get those into your hands. Anyway, let me know through the DMs or sign up to that newsletter to get first access to that stuff. Okay, so let's wrap this thing up. Again, if you want to catch us on the replay, it will be available on LinkedIn. Also, you can jump over to YouTube and watch that. If you're catching us on the replay, feel free to answer those questions. I will go back and read those. And if you have questions, I'll answer those as well. Or we can jump on a call if you like the face-to-face. But a few things to remember. Retention is not about perfection. It is about progress, right? You're not going to be able to save every single employee from walking out the door, and that's okay. But when I see the churn of employees in mission-driven organizations and I hear from them why they left, very rarely, unless something has changed in their life, is it about money. So much it is about trust, it is about appreciation, career growth, and autonomy, right? Those are really huge things. So, how can you assist with that? And so much, again, does not cost any money, right? You already have the strategic thinking and the mission commitment from them. It's really important to be able to take these little pieces and put it together, right? So, what are your next steps? Choose one thing, just one. I gave you so much today. I just want you to choose one thing and start implementing it this week, pre-Friday, right? Do you need to set up that one-on-one? Do you need to delegate something? What do you need to do? One thing and do that. Now, as we always say to end these, remember to do something today that will change your tomorrow. I look forward to catching you next week. Have a fantastic weekend. And please, if you have any questions, drop it in the questions, drop it in the DMs. And I look forward to seeing you all in the live stream next week.